So some pretty good news for the Dragon Ball Super Broly film. Now, a lot of us are obviously very hype about this, and the more the time keeps coming, the more I'm like, yo, I need this film, baby. But it's good to hear that the man himself, Akira Toriyama, is actually very heavily involved in this film, more so than he's been with any of the films thus far. Now, we know he was pretty involved in Battle of Gods, and of course, Resurrection F. It was his idea to bring back Frieza, but with Broly, this is going to be interesting because they, according to this information, which we'll read in a bit, it seems as though they've said that Toriyama is actually heavily involved, giving more drawings than he's ever done, you know, designs or whatever, and he's just really in the crux of it, because a lot of the times when it comes to any story or whatever, especially if you've been following my channel, then you know, when the original creator is involved very heavily at that, it's always a better thing. It creates less inconsistencies, although with the way Toriyama be acting, I don't know, because there's a couple things in the film that I'm like, hey, let's see how this gets handled, and we'll talk about that in a sec as well. But Toriyama is very heavily involved in the film, again, original creative Dragon Ball, which is a great thing, but it is a little bit, to a small degree, concerning, because something that I wanted to bring up quickly before we get into the info is the fact that seemingly Bardock and Gine being, you know, Goku's mom, and of course Bardock, his father, are going to be shown in the film. I'm just kind of curious how it's going to be handled, because in case people don't know, there was a manga, a little short manga released a few years back called Dragon Ball Minus, that showcased how Goku came to Earth and Bardock's origin, you know, Bardock and his Goku's mom Gine, and them sending Goku off to Earth or whatever, and it just has a very different tone, and it feels very different than the story we got of Bardock, the father of Goku, from, you know, the original TV specials from Dragon Ball Z all those years ago. And not in a good way, honestly. Like, Dragon Ball Minus, it was a cool thing. I was really excited. Holy cow, we're finally seeing Goku's mom, dope or whatever. So that was the good part about it. But honestly, it just felt way too lighthearted. It changed Bardock's characterization when Bardock, you know, he was like this kind of cold-hearted Saiyan that, you know, he just wanted to stop Frieza from what he was about to do and stuff like that. In Dragon Ball Minus, he seems a lot more loving, likewise with Gine, and it just kind of felt a little bit off. So I'm curious if Toriyama's involved. Is he going to be using that material for Bardock and Gine in this film, or is he going to go back to the roots? Because again, a lot of people, it's not even just me, weren't really fond of Bardock's portrayal in the Dragon Ball Minus, and just the whole situation in general. It changed a lot of things of how that story went, because, you know, in the Bardock, the father of Goku TV special, Bardock was just, you know, savage, and he went up to fight Frieza, and he didn't even really care about Goku like that. He was like, only an average power level, and it was only those visions that he kept getting of Goku becoming stronger and one day taking out Frieza that kind of made him warm up to it a little bit, but he still didn't really care. Bardock was cold-hearted. So with Dragon Ball Minus being in there, it's like, Toriyama, are you going to be, you know, and are the staff going to be allowing Toriyama to use that portrayal of Bardock? I think it's going to disappoint a lot of fans as well, because a lot of us like the cold-hearted, just badassery of who Bardock was, of course, in, you know, the TV specials. And the Dragon Ball Minus portrayals, so Toriyama being involved is a great thing, but it does get me a little bit worried in certain regards as far as that goes. Other than that, though, it's like Toriyama's charm with the comedy is great. You know, he's great with comedy, and that's some of the things that I like about Dragon Ball Super. The fact that Toriyama having his hand in there, he threw in a lot of comedy to keep it how he likes it. And it reminds me of OG Dragon Ball before it went to Z, and it was just all this power scaling, you know, power level stuff or whatever. But let's read and we'll talk some more. The Dragon Ball official site has an interview with Dragon Ball Super movie producer Norihiro Hayashida. He reaffirms Dragon Ball Room chief Akio Iyoku's previous statement that the film will be a grand space opera. So I'm imagining we're gonna see a lot of space stuff, and probably between Broly stuff, and then of course, you know, the Bardock stuff, and all around we're gonna be in space a lot. So it's kind of giving me vibes a little bit of, is it Cooler's Return when they went to space? So maybe we'll have more of those vibes. I wondered if Dragon Ball could pull that off, but it all clicked once I read the storyline. This time around, they've been sure to leave enough time for Toriyama to check over everything, something they couldn't really do before, but the creation of the Dragon Ball Room has helped with that. So one, Toriyama is going to be involved more heavily than he's ever been before, because he's checking over the entire thing. So in essence, while he's not the one penning every single detail, he is proofreading it, and hopefully it's not that proofreading of like, yes, you know, the page looks nice, push it through. Hopefully Toriyama's really looking at it like, yo, this is a big deal. There's millions and millions of people worldwide that are gonna be watching this. Let me put my heart and soul into this, just as if I was, you know, penning the manga back in the early 90s and, you know, 80s and stuff like that. Hopefully that's the type of mindset Toriyama has. But also with the creation of the Dragon Ball room, in case you don't know, that was a staff created for everything Dragon Ball. Once the Dragon Ball resurgence and the popularity and all the Dragon Ball stuff that we've been getting the past few years started exploding, they were like, yo, let's create an entire team. And with them all helping together, Toriyama being able to be involved more on this scale, that is a great thing. They received the storyline in June 2017. Hold up. So June 2017, Dragon Ball Super ended, if I'm not mistaken, this March. So they've been working on this for a while then, and I'm kind of curious how much of a prerequisite they had of where the Dragon Ball Super anime was going to end, because June 2017, that's quite some time, and also that means that they probably started animating it at like the end of last year or somewhere around there, because if they just got the script at that point, then that means they had to start working out. I'm wondering if they stopped the Dragon Ball Super anime just because they needed all the staff they possibly could get. Like, it still makes me puzzled to this day what happened, why the Dragon Ball Super anime stopped when it did, other than the fact that, hey, we got this movie coming out, and there was a couple issues behind the scenes as far as, like, you know, Bulma's voice actress passing away towards the end. But I'm curious, like, exactly, like, did this have something to do with it? If they knew they were making this film way back then in June, maybe they were like, okay, you know, we'll work on the anime a little bit longer, we'll do this Tournament of Power arc, and then we're gonna get all the staff to jump on board to do this big Broly film and see where it goes from there. And spent from then until October going over the anime designs and whatnot. Toriyama confirmed things whenever the DB room staff couldn't decide something on their own, with Akio Iyoku doing a lot of back and forth with Toriyama. So Toriyama definitely had a lot of say. So the more and more we're reading, it's like, yeah, when they couldn't decide on something, Toriyama was like, yo, hand it here. So, and he even went back and forth, which means, again, Toriyama really put a lot of work in this film, and it's a good thing for the most part. Aside from certain aspects like the Dragon Ball minus stuff, Toriyama being involved, good thing. And maybe, who knows, with the Dragon Ball room, if Toriyama pitched something, or he was like, hey, let's do it like this, maybe they were like, ah, yes, but, you know, the fans actually like the TV special version better, so let's stick with that. Hayashida wanted an animation staff who could provide a properly cinematic sense of scale. He also wanted to get closer to Toriyama's current slimmer character designs. Toriyama has provided far more design images for this movie than any previous one. Again, awesome stuff showcasing that Toriyama has more involvement with this film than he's had ever, which that's amazing. I love hearing that. I remember with the Naruto movies, I was so glad because, you know, that was some of the best films whenever Kishimoto got involved. Although the current slimmer designs, I prefer the old DBZ days where everybody had muscles popping out the yin yang, but obviously that's just a sign of the times of where we're at, where anime, that slimmed down character designs is cooler than, you know, the big muscly ones. They've been very conscious of the overseas market during the production and marketing of this film, and want to get it dubbed and shown in theaters overseas as soon as possible to cut down on piracy. And that is more than apparent that they are definitely starting to cater more towards the West. For crying out loud, Broly, which I'm not sure exactly what his popularity is like in Japan, but I know overseas 100% that Broly is a very, very huge and popular character. So them creating Broly for this film was a very smart move, especially for the West. So the fact that they're going to be doing things like that, it seems as though they're acknowledging, like, yo, there's a lot of money over here, a lot of people really love Dragon Ball over here, let's not ignore them, which is a little bit of a difference for anime. Anime, majority of the times, especially nowadays, because, you know, how it is and whatnot, the industry, they really just like the overseas market is an afterthought. So the fact that they're actually very conscious this time around is a very, very good thing, and it showcases that we might have a couple of different changes with the Dragon Ball story, opposed to, and not continuity wise, just like tone and stuff like that, opposed to previous stuff, because they see the overseas market loves it too. With that in mind, the rough cut of the film will be used to get dubs finished quickly. At the same time, they're trying to leave plenty of time to do corrections between the rough cut and final cut of the film, a luxury a lot of films these days don't have. It seems as though they're putting a lot of money, time, manpower, effort, all of the above into making this film as grand as possible. And again, this could also be a reason why they had to stop the Dragon Ball Super anime TV series, because it's like, well, we want to get this done, we want to get the dub, you know, coming straight away right after it comes out in Japan and stuff like that. How do you do that? Making these rough cuts and everything, and then getting the corrections in between. They need all the manpower they can, and that's probably, again, another big reason. If they knew way back in June that they were doing this film, why they said, let's stop the anime for now, bring out this big big film, and then we'll come back to it. So that way they didn't just, you know, kind of half-ass it, and then we get like a film that's like, it's cool. No, this film is probably going to be absolutely amazing. Kind of curious what you guys think about this though. For starters, do you think that it's going to be a great thing that Toriyama is this heavily involved? I mean, to be honest with you, I think personally, aside from the Bardock and Gene stuff, I think Toriyama being involved, I always say it's an incredible thing. The One Piece films, the Naruto films, whenever the creators get involved, it takes these films to a whole other level than they've been beforehand. So that's pretty freaking awesome. Also, what do you think about this being in the works, since at the very least they had the script in June? Do you think that this is the main reason why they had to stop the Dragon Ball Super anime? I mean, the Dragon Ball Super anime was on fire. Everybody loved it. Everybody worldwide was watching it. So the fact that it had, you know, come to an end at the very least for the time being does make me question, does this film, or is this film the main reason why they did it, so that they can have all the manpower to get this done, dubbed, and out as quick as possible? And your overall thoughts and expectations for the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. This is going to be insane. But that is all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, stalk my Facebook, and follow me on Twitch to get more when the video ends. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Bow. Have an awesome day. We make a major move, laugh and let the haters lose. We don't give a fuck, virginity intact, cream stack. Paper rules, if you heard it, best believe that. But now it's whatever, one day I'll be your favorite, but never. No matter how you